So how many of you got into technology so you could give presentations and lead meetings and, I don't know, panel discussions, maybe even media interviews? Anyone? Yeah, pretty much so. Probably the opposite, right? What if I were to tell you that being able to communicate effectively about technology is critical to your success? If you think about it, you're all innovators at heart, right? And so you're using technology and developing it to solve problems and make things faster, better, more efficient, right? But innovation without effective communication is at best a cool idea. At its worst, it's unrealized potential. It's kind of like that saying, you know, if a tree falls in the forest and no one's there to hear it, doesn't make a sound. Well, in the case of innovation, the question is, did it even happen, right? So I'm here today to talk to you about ways to use technology to improve the way you talk about technology, and that's with AI coaching apps. So let's dive right in. There are a lot of these apps out there, and as with all AI, uptake has been swift. You may have heard the statistic that with ChatGPT, it got 100 million users in just its first 2 months. Anybody a user? Yeah, okay, you're part of that 100 million. And like all AI, these coaching apps are evolving faster than best practices on how to use them. So as a veteran coach and as a cautious early adopter, I decided to do some research on how they work, how they compare with what I do, and how we can best use them. So let's go ahead and jump in. So these apps are pretty easy to use. Some of you may have already had experience with them. Ori is the typical example. I'm a user of this one and many others. And simply download the app. And then a lot of these apps will ask you a question or two to get started. Learn from my mistakes, please. When Ori asked me, do you think that students should be able to use smartphones in school? I didn't care. I just fudged my way through an answer just so I could click and practice. What I didn't know is that after some very firm feedback from Ori, that it was using that lame answer to build my coaching program. So, word to the wise. But after you do that, you simply click and you start practicing. It's very easy. You will get some feedback on any of your remarks, your job interviews, what have you, like pacing and facial expression, energy level. Even things like, are you using inclusive language or filler words? You can also track your progress, which is helpful over time to see if you're improving. And several of these apps will give you exercises to help you practice certain skills and also audio examples so you can hear how you're supposed to sound. So very easy, right? In terms of the benefits, when it comes to that kind of feedback, these apps do a pretty good job on those delivery fundamentals, like on the previous slide, pacing, inflection, energy level. And when I compared how I would give feedback on some of the same types of videos, it was pretty similar, again, with those delivery fundamentals. We also like how the app will reflect the key points that came across. So you can have some immediate feedback. Did you stay on message or did you wander? And also, some apps offer follow-up questions. So you can see, maybe I should include that in my remarks, or at least be prepared to answer these questions afterwards. If you take a step back to the bigger picture, the benefits are many. The access issue. Anybody with a smartphone can now be coached, and I think that's a good thing. Coaching shouldn't just be reserved for those with access to a human coach, right? And also the cost issue. A lot of these apps are free. Some have low-cost options like $9.99 a month. I am not free, and I do cost more than $9.99 a month. So, all very appealing to those who are kind of just starting out. They do a lot of marketing around privacy and objectivity. The privacy thing, hey, you can practice anytime, anywhere in the privacy of your own home, your bedroom, your car, your office, without someone like me breathing down your neck. And that can be really appealing if you're just getting used to these remarks or delivering these remarks. The objectivity piece, also an extension of that. They say it's judgment-free analytics. This can be fun, no pressure. And the thing is, you are not given feedback that is personal to you. You're given feedback on how you compare with the masses. So again, if you're newer to public speaking or presenting, this can be very comforting. Interestingly, several of the drawbacks or potential drawbacks fall under the same category. In the interest of time, I'm going to focus on the two that are most concerning in terms of a bigger picture, and those are privacy and bias. The privacy thing. What I didn't know when I started using these apps and researching them is that when you record a video and do your practice session, that video becomes the property of the app, all right? So they control what happens to it unless you send an email asking them to delete it. And that can be concerning, especially if you're practicing with some, hopefully not proprietary information, but anything that you don't want out there in the public sphere. They will delete your videos, but if you read the fine print, they will also say, we'll delete them, but we can't guarantee 100% security because that video was recorded and transmitted online. And we all know the inherent risks with that. The second thing is that even if they delete the videos, there's that whole machine learning thing that AI does. And they do reserve the right for their apps to learn from and evolve from the videos that you have recorded while you do your practice session. Just make sure that you vet these apps before you dive into practicing and know what your responsibilities and risks are. I would not practice with any proprietary information on these apps. And we're not aware of any leaks that have happened, but until they become more secure, that's the risk that you face. The second issue has to do with bias. And as we all know, AI is only as good as the data sets on which it is learning. And although it is improving, most of these data sets have not yet evolved to represent the diversity of our population. With AI coaching apps, they have not yet heard from the voices of women leaders, certain racial groups, underrepresented populations, and minorities. And until it does, it can adjust for the unique communications opportunities and challenges that these groups face in the communications landscape. The second thing, Forbes points to research showing and talking about how a lot of these communication coaching principles were developed in Western countries. It would be wrong of us to assume that coaching developed in a Western country would seamlessly translate to other countries and cultures. Now, I'm not saying that human coaches cannot be biased. Of course we can. Of course. The difference lies in the ability to recognize the potential for bias and take proactive measures to address it in advance of any coaching session and in advance of any feedback that you would give that individual. So with all of those things in mind, where do we go from here? I like this quote. A lot of us have probably seen it already, but I find it applicable in a lot of these settings. And I'll tweak it just a little bit with regard to AI coaching apps. AI is not going to replace us, but those of us who use AI will replace those who do not. Now, you all have a huge advantage when you are choosing and using these AI coaching apps. You're tech experts already, so lean into your experience and your expertise when you are researching and finding the app that best fits your communications needs at this point in your professional journey. My recommendation, looking at these apps, if you are newer in your career or newer to a leadership position, these apps can be very valuable in helping you meet that best practices bar. They can give you a comfort level that you otherwise might not have. For people who are further along in their careers or maybe have a little bit more experience doing public speaking, I would recommend that these apps be incorporated into a more individualized coaching program. Leaders who are already comfortable don't want to just meet the bar, but they want to raise above it and establish their unique voice. So these apps can be incorporated into that plan. You can practice in between sessions or in advance of a talk that you give and really hone those skills and stand out as a leader. Regardless, I think it could be valuable for any of us to use these apps and commit to practicing so you can use technology to improve the way you talk about technology. And most important, to bring innovation to life for your peers, for your company, and for the industry at large. Thank you very much, and good luck.